Because again, I think it's very easy to get distracted otherwise. And our brains are so funny because our brains like to feel that sense of accomplishment, you know? And so it doesn't necessarily want to do the important things. It wants to do the easy things. So that's one technique I use. The other technique when I'm writing is...
So, Freunde, bei mir ist nach wie vor John Strzelecki. John, hi.
Hey, so good to be here.
Good to speak with you about your amazing, great book, Überraschung am Café am Rande, im Café am Rande der Welt. Eine Erzählung von Suchen und Finden. Und ihr habt mir ein paar Fragen gestellt und ich habe hier einige Fragen von euch. Also das wird eine Herausforderung, die dran zu nehmen, aber wir versuchen es mal. John, first question. Haag asks, what does love mean?
What does love mean? Wow, you know, the first thing I think about is my role as a parent. And I think that it's not for everybody. So I'm not saying that being a dad or a mom is everybody's thing. But for me, I never really realized the depth of love until I had my daughter. And so, yeah, like the willingness to do and be everything that you could possibly be for another human being. So I guess it actually could extend to anyone. But for me, I really felt it the most profoundly with my child.
It's such an amazing question answer you gave because I said just last week ago you only understand what love is when you at this moment my Leo we can hear him, yeah. When you have your baby in your arms, then it's final. Gotcha.
Because that's it right there. It's like that happiness, and you realize like your job is to be the guardian, the caretaker for this little spirit that has their own little story, their own everything, and man, yeah, it's just crazy cool.
Was there any how you call it, Wendepunkt in your life? Wendepunkt means when you was going to one direction and afterwards you said, is it really my direction? And then you changed like 180 degrees?
Yeah, I've had lots of those. I mean, my path, what I thought was my path was to be a pilot back when I was younger.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know that much about being a pilot, but what I knew was that you got to travel for free and you made pretty good money, and that you would have a schedule that gave you a lot of time off. So I knew that you could like work 3 days on, 4 days off, and then 4 days off, 3 days on. So you'd have 8 days off. So my dream was actually to become a pilot. I was working on that since I was 12 years old. I invested every penny I ever saved towards that dream, and then it was all taken away from me when I was 21 years old. And so by the sort of guidance of the universe, something that I was 100% convinced was my path, I had to change. And but that said, I would not be here with you. I would not be an author had I have actually become a pilot.
But what happened?
They diagnosed me with a heart condition that was so rare that it only impacts 1 in every 100,000 people, and it only matters if you want to be a pilot or an astronaut. And one out of 100,000 people have it.
Wow.
And you have to want to be a pilot or an astronaut. So literally the odds were better that I would win the lottery twice.
Wow.
Yeah. But again, sometimes life, you know, throws a curveball to you and you have to make adjustments, but you realize looking in the rearview mirror, like, oh, now I see why.
That's it, connecting the dots afterwards.
Backwards,
right?
yeah.
That's it.
So my favorite question now to ask is, I wonder why this is happening to me, as opposed to like, oh, why is this happening to me?
Wow, I'm not only me, but I'm sure there are millions. They're really grateful that you're not pilot. Yeah. So thank you for this, universe.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you for these amazing books.
There you go.
John, Joel is asking, how can I find my true path in life, my destiny, my working job?
Yeah, so I'll give you, it's a big question. I'll try and give you a couple of answers. So first of all, I love the question in Das Café am Rande der Welt, the very first question. Why am I here? And asking that question and asking it every day over the course of a week, even a month, and doing it in a place where you've got no distractions and in nature is a fantastic way to do things. And I just want to set expectations. We're so used to Google these days where you type in a question, you hit the button, and you get the answer. Why are you on the planet is quite a bit more complex of a question, and so expect that it may take a little bit of time. But look for clues, like what do you love to do on the weekend when you're not working? So if you don't love your job, then what do you love to do when you're not working? And ask friends and family members who are really supportive, when do you glow? Because sometimes we have our own blinders on and it's hard to see, but your friends will be like, man, when I see you interacting with other people and giving them advice or helping them, you just come alive. And that's the kind of feedback that can give you guidance towards, ooh, this is my path,
Wow.
So, I mean, there's other things you can do. You can work with a great coach. Coaches can be phenomenal resources towards helping you discover your Big Five for life or discover your purpose. So it just kind of depends. Do you want to do it on your own? Do you want to do it with somebody else? Do you want to do it the quick way? Do you want to do it the slow but more internal way? It just depends on the person.
That's an amazing answer. So you said don't go on Google and check the information. Be at Google, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Find the source within you.
Yeah, totally. I have never met a person yet who, when they came to me and asked for help and went through the whole experience of discovering over 2 days, I've never met a person yet who didn't already have it inside of them. My job was simply to ask interesting questions that peeled away the layers so that they could see for themselves what the answer was.
Amazing. How does Julia asked, how does your own life looks like?
What does my own life look like?
You live in Florida, right?
I live in Florida, and
you have crocodiles in your backyard.
I literally do have alligators, in my backyard. As a matter of fact, I see them almost every day. I go kayaking on that lake, and there have been alligators. Yeah, there's been alligators as big as my kayak.
No,
100%.
So what is the feeling to do like these and looking down?
So it was crazy, actually, and then I will actually answer the question. But so I was paddling around the edge of the lake, and there was a whole bunch of reeds and like high weeds, and all of a sudden the water just exploded, and this very large alligator came out. And the nice thing about a kayak is you're right on the water. The bad thing about a kayak when there's alligators is you're right on the water. Yeah. And so, my heart was beating about 1,000 miles a second. So, yeah.
So what happened?
I mean, in general, the likelihood that you're going to be attacked by an alligator is very small. Mm-hmm. And so, he swam away and I marveled at him, but that was it. So, but I see them all the time. I'm very active every day in starting my day with a mantra. I then follow that up with a lot of water. I drink a lot of water to hydrate my system, and then I stretch. I find when I do that first thing, my day is better, like a lot better. My energy is better, my thinking process is better. And if I don't do it, then at the end of the day, I feel the pain in my shoulders. Mm-hmm. So better to do that stuff first and demonstrate that your health and clarity of mind is really important to you. I think the universe responds then.
So would you say the physical body is like a kind of instrument which you have to tune by stretching water in order to get all these gifts you got?
Especially at this age. So, I mean, you're quite a bit younger than me, but I've noticed that at each decade, things change. And so 30, I could still play sports and do everything that I could at 25, right? 40, your vision starts to go a little bit. Your reflexes are a tiny bit slower. 50, if you don't do maintenance, you're going to feel the pain. And so, it's really important to do that and demonstrate. So I do that, and then I always, first thing I do is I say hello to my daughter. We sort of greet each other and give each other a big hug and talk about the day. And then, I'm very specific. I have 3 things that I noticed the night before. This is what I want to do today. And I put them 1, 2, and 3 in terms of importance. And then I do those first so I don't get distracted.
Do you write it on the phone or?
I do it on a Post-it note, actually.
A Post-it,
yeah.
Great.
And then every day I rip that one up, throw it away, and I write another one.
That's great. So you done, right?
Yeah, it gives me a really clear direction for my day.
Wow.
Because I don't know about you, but otherwise you open up email and you look at your phone
This is the reason why I stay here.
Yeah.
no internet until 12, a.m.
Yeah.
So it's really good,
Otherwise there's 1,000 distractions.
Yeah, feel you. Do you stand up in the morning really early? Do you go late to the bed?
So I do not start very early in the morning. I am not a morning guy.
Good.
Yeah, and I think everybody has their own rhythm.
Yes.
When I've written books actually where I've literally written Safari des Lebens, I wrote that book in 10 days, and I did some of my best writing between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. And so I think part of life is finding the rhythm that works for you and honoring that.
Wow. I'm not sure whether you noticed, but at the moment, because since you came to Europe, in America happened something which was, the topic was about UFOs or UAPs.
Okay.
Unidentified flight objects, and in America the US Congress was speaking of the 17th of May, it's like impossible to think about it. Like in German Bundestag, the guys are speaking about UFOs, and there's was the sentence in this room where they say there is something outside, and we don't know what it is, because it was the fighting jets, the Dutch pilots, who was giving this information, not like private people faking something. How about the UFOs? What is your opinion on?
I look up at the sky at night and I see all of those stars. And one time I looked to find out what the math was. And so when you look at a perfectly clear night, when there's no light interference, and it looks like there are millions of stars, what you can actually see with our eyes is about 3,000 stars. And what you're seeing is, if I remember it exactly right, it's 0.00000005% of what is in our galaxy. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, there are 100 billion galaxies beyond that. I personally find it very hard to believe that we are the only living life form in all of that. I'd be completely shocked. Like, mathematically, it doesn't make any sense to me. When will we as human beings have a better connection to other life presences in the universe? Gosh, I don't know. Maybe it's happened already, and maybe it'll happen in the future. Maybe we first need to demonstrate a higher degree of compassion or empathy, or who knows what.
Mm-hmm. And it's really interesting because they said in the US Congress that these UFOs, they were traveling with 100,000 kilometers per hour.
Oh, jeez.
Which is just amazing.
Right.
On the radar. The fastest machine we have is about 4,000 kilometers per hour. So it's so far away, like 500 years in front of us. So my opinion on it, they should have also a higher consciousness. If they have the better technology.
Yeah.
So, John, next question. How do you achieve your goals?
We talked just a second ago. I think part of life is figuring out the ways to win the game of life. It doesn't come with an instruction manual. And so if you can pick up little tricks and tools to make yourself more efficient. So this, what I do with the Post-its, works really good for me. I think that's...
Is this colorful posts, different colors, or it's
just a pack of Post-its, but I literally, the night before I go to bed, I will write down 1, 2, 3. What are the 3 things that I want to do the next day? On one
post?
On one Post-it, yeah.
Okay, and it's like yellow little post?
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because again, I think it's very easy to get distracted otherwise. And our brains are so funny because our brains like to feel that sense of accomplishment, you know? And so it doesn't necessarily want to do the important things. It wants to do the easy things. So that's one technique I use. The other technique when I'm writing is, if I've committed to writing a book, I know that I can write 10 pages a day. And so if I say, well, I want the book to be about 250 pages, well, that's pretty easy math. I say that's 25 days of writing. And so I get up in the morning, I take a shower, and then I write. And I don't do anything else. I don't answer emails, I don't answer my phone, I don't even check my phone until those 10 pages are done. Wow. And so prioritizing on the things that are most important really helps me be more successful in terms of my goals. Yeah.
Would you say you're a kind of person who is really connected to get all this information down on this planet, that you also have from time to time good and sometimes excellent ideas? Do you try to say, okay, this is good idea, but this is not the right time? How you can do it? Because it's so easy to get distracted today.
It is. So, and I don't want to lose the good ideas, because in the future it might be something that I end up wanting to pursue. And so the way that I balance that in my brain is I have my big idea file. And so when an idea comes to me that I think is a really good idea, I literally will take a few minutes, write up a paragraph about it, and then put it in my big idea file. And I probably have 50 ideas in there right now, which I think are it's inventions, it's nonprofit ideas. Some of them I may do in my lifetime. Maybe I'll give the ideas to someone else. But yeah, I don't want to lose the idea, but I also want to keep myself focused.
Oh wow, it's so great that you confirm it. I also say this laptop, this PC is costs maybe some couple €100, but the information on it, if you really use it right, you write it down.
Priceless.
That's it.
Wait, so I want to ask you that one. So what do you do? What's your go-to for staying focused?
Well, no internet. That's true. Until 12, we're in my house with you right now. Yes, so it's how do you call it? basement.
Basement, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So no internet, no connection, nobody can reach me. So guys, it's amazing that you all are there, but I'm now here. So yeah, to get this soul hour, like I call it, yeah, to get. I think these guys are also a big inspiration. Time to time, I stay here with my son and watching these guys and try to feel the energy to understand that it's a really small life, right?
Yeah.
And not a few hours we get. Next question for you.
That actually reminds me, though, that's a great tip. Is so I also have things in my office that are very visual reminders of things. My dad passed away about a year ago, and I have a great picture of him fishing because he loved to fish. I have a picture of a woman who I met many, many years ago who's blind, and she had sight that was diminishing. And when she was in her 20s, she decided to be a mom, even though she knew she was going to be blind in the next 6 months. Like, she is so courageous and just fearless. And so I keep a picture of her on my office wall to remind me to be courageous.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think having those things in our visual sight line is a really good thing.
Wow, what a story. John, how was you as a child?
I mean, I remember being very creative, but you can never be in someone else's brain. So you don't, like, you might not even realize you are creative. Or you might be fantastic at looking at blueprints or figuring out puzzles, but you just sort of assume everyone is about the same. But that's not the case at all. Like, whoever's watching this, you have a genius within you, and make sure you honor that genius, because nobody else's brain and nobody else's entity is quite like your own. So when I was a kid, I was very creative. I was always daydreaming. My teachers hated that. And I wanted to be an adventurer. But one thing I didn't have was a lot of self-confidence. And so I struggled with finding my place in the world. And it took me decades to get to the point where I felt, no, like, there's a reason I'm here.
So this writing and author, all this, not story, already legend, how was it this first time, the feeling to write Café am Rande der Welt and to understand that people like it?
Yeah.
Did it change completely your inner voice, or how was it?
No, I mean, by then I very fortunately, I had gone and done this big backpacking adventure where I spent an entire year backpacking around the world. And that really gave me a ton of confidence, because when you can order food and find housing and lodging in a place where you don't speak the language, you don't know the culture, when you have to figure out trains and buses and transport and you don't speak the languages, like, it gives you a lot more self-confidence about who you are. So that definitely helped. And then I think there's always clues from the universe. You know, you were talking about that internal guidance system. So the very first person ever to read the completed manuscript for Das Café am Rande der Welt, the words she said to me were, "This little book has changed my life."
Wow.
Yeah. And so that was
before it was published?
Before it was published.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then after it was published, I built this website. It was horrible, just a horrible website. And even with as horrible as that was, in the first year, we had orders from people in 28 different countries.
Wow.
Yeah, to buy the English language book.
Wow.
So I think part of life is, listen, if you're getting this kind of positive feedback, allow yourself to embrace that. And that's whether you're a dancer, an entrepreneur, a writer, or anything else. Because it's very easy to sort of be like, no, but, like, let it sink in. Like, this could be part of what you're here for.
Wow. Another question is, this person from the cafe, are they fiction or are they real? Or did you impress something like this?
Yeah, so in everything that I write, there are many aspects of life that I've personally experienced. And the thing I think about with the cafe world is, you're right. I think it's over 4 million copies of the first cafe book. It's in 43 languages. And for everyone who's walked into that story and walked into that cafe and had their life shifted in some way, the minute something can impact you like that, it is real. Like, that's what defines real for us. And so it's a very interesting and beautiful blurry line between real and not real. But for me, the cafe is a very, very real place, as are the characters.
Wow. John, what was, how do you say it? What was the biggest wisdom or the biggest finding within your life?
Oh, whew.
Yeah.
That's a tough one to narrow it all the way down to one.
Yeah.
But I would say a couple things, because narrowing it down to one is a little too tough for me. But one of the most important quotes that ever came to me, like a moment of aha, was that every expert starts off knowing nothing about what they became an expert in.
Wow.
That's so inspiring to me. And I think it goes back to that lack of self-confidence that I struggled with, because I was always afraid that I would appear stupid. Like, oh, it's like, gee, they seem to know so much and I don't know anything. And if you allow yourself to realize that every single person behind us, all these unbelievable geniuses, there was a time when they didn't know anything about what they became a genius in, what the world recognizes their expertise in. That should be incredibly inspiring to the rest of us, you know? So whether you're watching this and you're 15 years old or you're 50 or you're 85, if there's something that you want to learn about and become an expert in, you can do it.
Wow. And the last question, if you would had a chance to speak to God, to he or him, what would be your question? You can ask just one.
Just one question to the entire universe. Wow. It's very much core to my nature. And so here's the question. The question would be, why does it exist at all? And so, for example, I am fascinated by the human experience. Why do we get to live our life? And what I've discovered, or what I think to be true, is that each of us, as we're living our life, we learn things and we grow. And each time we learn and grow, that knowledge is entered into the cosmic algorithm of the universe. And so the minute you learn something here in your fantastic basement, if I allow myself to, even though I'm halfway around the world, like my energy could pick up on that and I could tap into that. And the same for you. Like I could be out there kayaking with alligators and have a profound moment of thought, and you actually halfway around the world could tap that same thought. And so I think that's the way it all works. And that's part of why we exist, is to add to this database of awareness. The question though, it's a little bit like down the rabbit hole. The question is, well, why does the universe need that? And that's the part I haven't been able to figure out yet.
That's an amazing answer.
Wait, how about you? I got to know yours.
Oh, wow. Probably what brought me to this life, in this incarnation, to do this, what I'm doing, in order to understand what did I miss, what did I not failed, but missed to experience, in order to do it in this life better and not to cheating yourself in small places when you think you're doing the right way, but your soul feels it's not the right way, in order to understand love probably much faster.
Yeah.
But it's all about love, right? Why we come here, but we're so in care, or we fear to impress it or express it. Yeah.
So true. Yeah. And yet when we receive love, we know that that's the thing, right? I mean, it's such a game changer.
And this is a book full of love, ladies and gentlemen. Wir verlinken das außerhalb von diesem Interview. John Strzelecki, nagelneues Buch, Überraschung im Café am Rande der Welt, findest du außerhalb von diesem Interview. Jetzt klicken und bestellen. Dear John, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was great to see you. Great to have a chance to see each other in person this time.
And I forgot to tell you this one sentence, which is so often in our family, which we speak all the time about you. This is, you said once to me, if I can't travel far, I travel near.
Yeah.
And this is all the time when we're like, okay, come on, it's already 4 p.m. So what should we do right now? And we say, John say we'll travel near, and then we go like here to the river, 2 kilometers by bike.
I love that.
All the time, so you're always here.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Thanks. Well, thank you again.
Thank you. Wenn du das tust, was erfolgreiche Menschen tun, wirst du ebenfalls sehr erfolgreich werden. Wenn du das vermeidest, was erfolgreiche Menschen vermeiden, kannst du nicht scheitern. In unserem Podcast Die Köpfe der Genies bekommst du genau das. Einfach hier reinhören.